This is the OCRL Race Report, and we'd like to thank everybody tuning in on the OCRL.com. I'm your host, Jeff Baki Jr., sitting alongside my broadcast colleague, Scott Ickes. How are you doing tonight, Scott?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right, man. We got our plate full tonight. We have two drivers in our studio tonight. First time that we're going to have our special guest. We mentioned this last week that we are going to have a special guest, but not one, but two. One of those drivers being Andrew Micke, who was fresh off his second-place finish in Dover. And then we have Jason Gaines, who challenged you for the majority of the race.
Yeah, it was a battle, man, between me and Jason. He had the fast truck, and so did I, and it was just a lot of fun being out there with him.
Yes, and it definitely looks like a lot of fun up there. And in case you guys missed last night's race, Scott was the man to beat. He led the most laps, and he had the fastest lap in the race, and he came off Dover as the winner. And now we go into next week's race in Charlotte, where he is locked in. It's the first time that we're going to use this format where the winner from the previous week is locked into the race, and he's the only driver on the list locked in. Of course, we got the champions provisional in case myself or Eric can't make it in. So how do you feel about being locked in? The pressure's off, isn't it?
Yeah, it's off. The heat races, you still got to be careful, though, because that's your primary truck, and, you don't want to go out wrecking that truck. So it's a nice relief for all the guys out there who work really hard on the 3 team. And, we hope to have another good race next week.
Yeah, and you guys are leading the points right now by 44 points over Eric Micke, and it's really impressive that coming in from a startup team, you have Ford behind you, and all the sponsors, you guys are leading the points right now. Michael Racer Gruby, he's looking like he's going to win his first Owners Championship, but we're, again, only 2 races into the season, so 3 races into the season, so we can't really say much. We've got a lot more racing to do. Let's get into what the start of the race looked like. We started off Tuesday with the duels. Duel number 1 included yourself. It included me. Eric was in there. Andrew, we had a lot of heavy hitters in that first room, and it was up in the air who was going to win it or who was going to race in because of how close the field was. I know myself, I was a bundle of nerves, and Stevie was too. If you guys know Stevie, they call him the Iceman because he's got pretty much ice water running through his veins. There's nothing that can hold him down. He even talked to me before the race and said that he was nervous. This is the first event in a long time that's made him nervous. So the first race, the results, the top 5 drivers that got in from that race, Jason won it. It led flag to flag. I finished in second behind him. Scott, you were third. Eric and Andrew, 4th and 5th. And the guy who barely missed it and was coming on strong with the charge was Sean. He got caught up in a couple of the spins that started early with Matt Young, and then he couldn't continue. He wasn't as fast as he was, trying to lock the brakes up, nosed into the wall a few times. So tough break for those guys, missing their first race of the season, but they're going to get in here one of these days, and they're going to get their stuff together. I can feel it for that team.
Yeah.
And the dual race, just edit that part out. Keep talking.
Yeah, it was the heat races. We had Jason up there, and it was for the heat races. With Sean, it was just a lot of guys were just out there basically protecting their trucks. I don't know how you felt about it, but I thought that's how it was.
Yeah, for me, I had me and Jason were on the same radio channel, and I was just telling him, look, I'm not pressing no issue, just need to ride here. I'm safe in second place. I told my spotter to tell your spotter I'm just riding, and you rode, and Eric rode, and everybody, the top 4 pretty much were just doing what they had to do. The battle was back there for 5th and 6th. And let's move on to the second race, where Austin led them to the checkered flag, with Jesus finishing in second, Steve Anders, and then the 2 young guns, rookies coming into the league, James Duke and Dustin Perry. They raced into their first OCRL event as well, and they showed a lot of promise early in the early going of the Dover 200 Tuesday night.
Yeah, I mean, those guys, they were, for being new into this league, they really showed what they had at Dover. I mean, I was even started the race. I think I started 5th or 6th, and I moved back the whole way to almost 8th, and it was they were passing me, and they were real clean, and maybe not as fast at points in the race, but overall they were very respectful.
Yeah, they definitely were. They earned a lot of respect that night, and I even think James got up there and led some laps. And let's move into the race, the qualifying session after the heat, after the top 10 was decided. We only raced with 10 people here in the OCRL. After the top 10 was decided, we went into a qualifying session where Austin Painter shattered track record and started alongside Jesus Andrade, who made up the front row. And Austin obtained the pole position, and he went on and took off like a bat out of hell, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I mean, Austin, he's always fast. I mean, everywhere and anywhere, he knows what the truck needs. He's a good race car driver, and in the truck series, it's no different. So for him to win a heat race isn't very surprising to anybody.
Yeah, it sure didn't. He started the Dover 200 off on the right foot, too. He got up to an early lead, like I mentioned before. And for the majority of the first run, the battle was really for second. Jesus and Eric, really good friends in the garage area. Them two got together, were battling side by side for what seemed like eternity for both drivers, I'm sure, until Jesus took the upper hand and started chasing down Austin. And towards the end of his fuel run, he finally got to his back bumper, moved him out the way, and took the lead, ended up leading 6 laps until the first caution came out. And that first caution, and cautions tonight, or Tuesday night at Dover, were really painstaking for a lot of the guys, because 9 times out of 10 in Dover this Tuesday, the caution came out either right as people were pitting for tires or after. A lot of the rookies were getting on the pit road or didn't know how to get on pit road and were spinning out. And, of course, the OCRL, the safety officials, they have to pull the caution out. But it seemed like for you the cautions worked in your favor.
Yeah, I mean, they did. It was a very strategical, I don't know, didn't say that right, but, the thing is, a lot of strategy went into it, basically, what I'm trying to say. And you didn't want to go in too early because, some of these new drivers coming in, they couldn't really pit right. It seemed like, once in a while, I don't know if it was nerves just getting to the first race, not wanting to make a mistake, but, it just seemed like they were bringing out the caution to get on the pit road. So, my team, we just decided we're just going to stay out until we absolutely have to pit. And it wasn't all that bad because we really had a good long run setup.
And indeed you guys did. You pulled away from the field, and by the end of the night you finished a lap ahead of everybody. And the closest competition was right behind you. You just lapped Andrew Micke, who finished second. And like I mentioned earlier, we will be speaking with him later on. And Jason came home third, Steve Anders fourth, and then Eric Micke rounded out the top 5. And I myself finished sixth. And then the rest of the guys DNF'd, Dustin Perry in 7th, James Duke in 8th, Jesus Andrade in 9th. And our pole sitter, Austin Painter, would finish 10th after DNFing. And hard break for those guys. They ended up losing their clutch after the jack fell on pit road. And same deal with Jesus. He was having a hard time with the difference in pavement on pit road. They dropped the jack. He broke an axle. So it was a hard deal for both of those guys. 2 of the fastest trucks, it seemed like, early, getting taken out that quick. And me and you both been there before,
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating, These are 2 great drivers, and, for that to happen to them that early in the race, it is frustrating, and it gets on your nerves, but it's a long season, and, we, as drivers, you got to know to be patient, and each and every week, you just got to get your team a little better, so I'm sure, no doubt in my mind that they'll come to Charlotte with a whole bigger and better attitude.
Yeah, and that's what you need to do. You can't leave part of the race with you. You need to, when you walk out of the gates at whatever track you're at that weekend, you need to leave everything behind you with it. And that's the way it goes if you want to make it in this league. So after that first caution, that trapped not many, it was about 3 or 4, but it was the better trucks. I didn't have the best truck, but I know Eric was a lap down, 2 laps down with me, and we could shoot out early, and then you and the leaders on the lead lap would run us over and move us out. I don't know if you guys thought that we were on the lead lap or what, but, I mean, I thought many times I was yelling at my spotter about you and the way you were racing me, and Jason come across my hood one time, and it was a madhouse being up front. And then that one restart, one of the rookie drivers stayed up front to lead his laps. And that wasn't the right move to do on the crew chief's part. They should have they knew that truck was off the pace. They knew he was damaged. They should have just brought him down, started him at tail in the lead lap. It really bunched things up, and it seemed like everybody was able to get through it all right. Can you tell us what happened there exactly?
It could have taken out a lot of good trucks. I get it, the fact that, they want to lead laps, get those points, but, it's a risk you take, because you got to get respect from the other drivers. So you want to get those points, but you also don't want to lose any friends out there on the track. So, we could have lost a lot of good trucks out there. I know Jason, I think, took it 3 wide at one point. On that one restart, and we were okay. We kind of had a lazy third gear, it seemed like, because a lot of guys seemed to catch us. But once we got rolling, we were pretty good. And I think we had Eric a couple times behind me, or Andrew, I can't remember. But one of those guys, we all seemed to be able to get through it on the lead lap and really battle hard, which is really fun battling at Dover because it's high banking, like I've said before, and you just have good 2 wide racing.
Right, and you mentioned 3 wide. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I can drive a truck, but 2 wide is pretty difficult at Dover. Fans, this track is the concrete melee. It's really bad. They call it Monster Mile, and they don't call it that for no reason. It attacks you to literally come up and bite you if you're not paying attention. And we get out there, 2 wide racing off of turn 2 or 4 is real close. And you heard Scott say 3 wide, and we were 3 wide a few times. I know me being a lap down car at one point in time, Scott ducked to the inside, and I got into Eric, and I was waiting for us all to wreck, but everybody was able to keep their trucks straight. But 3 wide at Dover is virtually impossible, but it happened, and luckily, nothing big happened. Most of our incidents resulted in single cars, spins getting on pit road. We had 5 cautions, and that took away 13 laps under yellow. And like I mentioned before, Scott lapped the entire field with, just edit this part out, with Andrew Micke finishing second. We had 7 lead changes.
That was right at the end of the race. Not to interrupt you. But that was right at the end of the race, I think. I think we were at, what was that caution that took everybody down? I think it was 112. I think from that point on, I don't think anybody else really was able to get back on the lead lap.
Right, and most of the issues, like everybody was racing their own clean race, but people were having problems getting on pit road, especially the newer guys and less than experienced here in our league. And they were having a hard time getting on pit road, so we weren't going to see a caution unless we were going through pit stops, it seemed like. And it was really hard. At 112, we're buckled down. We don't need to pit no more. Fuel's good. So we just had to pretty much hang on for the ride, and we didn't catch the brakes that we needed to there to get back on the lead lap. I think nobody did. And me and Jay, we're going to talk to Jason later on, and he even explained to us how it would have been really interesting to see what would have happened if everybody was on the lead lap. But strategy or not, Scott came away the winner. He had the fastest truck, posted the fastest lap in the race, and I don't know. Your Victory Lane report interview says it all. Did you want to elaborate any more about winning?
Not really. I think I forgot to mention my sponsors, which I really feel bad, but I think we had Optima Batteries as a sponsor in that race, and we just wanted to thank them for being on the truck. A lot of things wouldn't be possible without them on the truck, so we just want to thank them, and we give them a win, and I think we might have Oakley on for a couple more races this season, so hopefully we can get them in Victory Lane as well.
Yeah, good job, man. I mean, you really deserved it. I wish that, like I agree with Jason, I wish that we could have had some green flag racing to complement it. And we did have green flag racing. What I mean is we had lead lap cars to complement the racing that we were having up at the front of the field. It would have made it for an interesting race. And it was interesting, but it had a lot more potential than it actually had.
Right.
And the results, the standings after Dover, we have Scott, you're leading like I mentioned before, 44 points in front of Eric. Third place is Steve Vanders. Fourth place, no surprise here, ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Micke. He's got his act together with Dodge and Mopar behind him this season. They're going to, I feel like this is going to be the breakout year, and we might be in our 5th or 6th season of the OCRL, but somebody's got to break out at one point in time. If anybody's going to do it this season, it's going to be Andrew Micke driving the number 22 Shell Pennzoil Dodge. In 5th place is Austin Painter. I'm in 6th place. Jason Gaines, he's running in 7th right now, 99 points behind the leader. Jesus Andrade is in 8th. Tyler Amich is in 9th. And Sean South is going to round out the top 10. And with these points being shaken up, everybody in the top 9 changed positions. And just a quick rough draft, this is what the heat race is going to be set by. I'm just going to do the top 10, up to the top 10. You got Scott in the first race, Stevie, Austin, Jason, and Tyler. And in the second race, we've got Eric, Andrew, myself, and Jesus, and then Sean. So that's just part of the field going to the heat race. But these heat races, like I said, were nerve-wracking last week or at Dover. Everybody was sick to their stomach about it, knowing that it was either race in or go home. And a lot of teams put their effort into it.
Yep, I mean it's a heat race to get into the main race, and you got to do everything you can to get that truck ready for the main race. There's no pit stops. You don't have to worry about that. Just drive your truck as hard as you can to get into the main race. And then once you get in the main race, you just work on your final practice on getting everything tuned in and ready for the race, for pit stops and whatnot.
Right, and what I had just mentioned before about the heat races, I do apologize. I had the producer whispering in my ear while you were talking. I was reading the driver's standings, and it's going to be a rough draft, but it's not quite exact. The OCRL goes by the owner standings when setting up the heat races, so that's what we're going to be used. But the point got across that it's not going to be the same people racing in each race, so it's going to lead for different competitions at some point in time, and it's going to be interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this works. We had a lot of good reviews, and I guess now is a better time than ever to invite in our special guest of the week. We got 2 drivers this week. Andrew Micke, driver the number 22 Shell Pennzoil Dodge, and then we've got Jason Gaines, driver the number 5 GoDaddy.com Chevrolet. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good.
Yeah, I've been better, but...
Yeah, that's good. We're going to start out with Andrew. You finished second at one of your historically worst tracks, and it just seems like that your team is on fire, and this is something that we haven't seen. You guys have gotten really good runs since Daytona, actually, and it just seems like it keeps going. What do you have in store for your fans going into Charlotte?
Charlotte is one of our better tracks, statistically better tracks. Dover mentally was a good track for me, but I guess statistically it wasn't. I didn't realize that. But we've got fast trucks, all 3 of our drivers, and we're looking for trying to get all 3 drivers in the race and up front.
Yes, and good luck to you in that. We've been talking about it throughout the entire show that qualifying in and the heat races, people buckle under pressure sometimes, so you're not getting the driver's full potential, but it's not really an excuse, but they can use that as an excuse if they want to. And Jason, man, you were battling up front all night long, and you were carrying the team's banner. You were up front, like I said. Looked like you were going to win the thing at one point in time, and then I guess the number 3 team just kept on making adjustments and eventually gotten better than you. Talk about the race from your perspective.
It was an exciting race. Like you said, Scott and those guys on the 3 team, they were awfully fast. I know that. They had an awesome long run, and probably I would say from the middle of a tire run to the long end of the tire run, they were a tick better than we were. We kept adjusting on it, and we're gaining some ground on them. And like you guys have mentioned before, it would have been an awesome show to see everybody be able to stay on the laps that they were on without people causing the circumstances with the trying to get on pit road and failing to. But yeah, we had a good night overall. I was happy with it.
Yeah, especially with the rocky start that you had. You didn't even get to start in Daytona after sitting on the pole. Problems leaving pit road on the pace laps. And then last week in Auto Club, you had some issues as well that set you back. And it seems like maybe right now your team alone, looking at the rest of the teams that you have, but your team alone seems like it's getting better.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting there. Last season we left off in the trucks with a win at Homestead, and during the off season we did a lot of testing and going between the teams that we have at JRM and picking up notes from Jesus and from you as well. And I think that we're starting to hit our stride, and hopefully we've got enough races left in this season to be able to fight for a championship. That was my main goal starting out this year, but like you said, after sitting on the pole at Daytona, the ignition box, it just went out before the race started, and I wasn't able to even wasn't even able to see the green flag, which is very disappointing because I thought I had a good truck. But there's more races to go, and we'll get there.
Yeah. Now, you and your crew chief have had some success in the past, but now Lance and you as a team are coming up on tracks that you haven't raced with on this team. So have you guys started talking about Charlotte and what you're going to do, knowing that you have no notes from the past? How are you going to get through going into these tracks up until we get to where you picked off last season?
We've done some testing recently, actually at Charlotte, and that being the home track to me because I'm from the state of North Carolina, it's a little more meaningful to run good there as it would be for anybody at their hometown track. But I don't want to say we're bad at Charlotte. We're making strides in that setup. We still got some work to do in it to get it where I would like it as a driver. But yeah, Lance he's going to get it right. I have all the confidence in the world in my crew.
Yeah, and you should, as good as you've been running when you do make an attempt to race. And we're going to flip back over to Andrew here. Let's read this email question I got from the viewers listening in on the OCRL.com. What are the chances of you making a championship run in the Camping World Truck Series? And I guess what they're asking is it realistic for your team?
It's realistic. Our team's been a championship caliber team for a while. It's just getting in that mode of being able to run consistently up front without getting into the problems that we've gotten into, and just making us known for being a championship contender team. But we've been there for a while. It's just getting people to realize it and actually pushing ourselves to be up there, fighting for first place in the points and all that.
Right. And now running up front, does that give you the confidence that you need to maybe do better week in and week out? And have you noticed any difference in the way other drivers or crew members or anybody portrays you now that you've gotten off to a good start in the 2011 A season?
Yeah, I've gotten a couple of handshakes and a lot more attention, but I try not to let it get to my head because I know how it could get if I start thinking of myself as being that championship driver when I know I'm not yet.
Right, and I think that you're going to be a contender before it's all said and done this season. And people don't pay attention because, like you said, you're not known to run for championships. But looking back, and even the Nationwide and Cup Series, you have been consistently successful. You've made the chase a few times. You finished in the top 5 in points, and maybe in the Nationwide Series. And the Truck Series now is being magnified because it's the only series the OCRL is running, and you're doing an excellent job. And I just want to congratulate you and your team on doing that, and keep up the good work.
Thanks, and I hope when we get back to the Cup Series I can bring it all over to the Cup Series and prove that I'm championship contender there too.
Yeah, and you actually posed a good point there. The Cup Series, not too many teams have spoken about what's going on. Is there anything that you want to leak to the OCRL Race Report and the fans tuning in online right now about maybe your Cup Series plans?
Well, we're sticking with Dodge, and we're going with the number 2 and 22 for now. We don't have drivers for them yet, but we're looking. We have a couple of guys that we're seeing as possible drivers, and I'll be in the number 7 Speed Energy Dodge Charger, and we'll be hoping to see that big orange car in the front of the pack.
Yeah, you can't miss it if it's that color orange. We definitely know what color orange you're talking about. And
Yep.
Like I said, good luck to you this season. And I'd like to thank both you and Jason for coming on the show tonight. And like I said, I thank you guys. And we hope to see you later on in the season. Good luck going into Charlotte and the races going in after it.
All right, thanks.
And when we get back, we're going to move over to the first clip of the news segment. This is a new addition that we're going to be adding into the race report, and Scott will be picking up where I'm leaving off. We're going to pause 10 seconds for station identification.
The headline's been kept to a minimum here in the OCRL, but we hear the possibility of 2011 A-Spring Cup cars being changed. We'll have more on this story in a later date. But Jeff, there's one more thing I hear. Change coming for Junior Motorsports? Could you elaborate on this?
Yeah, I don't feel like that our team is, my team individually is where it needs to be, and Jesus' guys, we're going to do pretty much a crew swap. We're going to put our current crew chiefs. I got Tony Sr. helping me out, and he's got Tony Jr. on top of his pit box. What we're going to do is we're going to put those guys into R&D, and we're going to bring in our Cup crew chiefs who are similar, who know a lot about working with the chassis that we're running right now. So going into Charlotte, we're going to have Steve Letard on my pit box, and he's going to have his crew chief, Alan Gustafson, and I really hope that it pays off because I think our two trucks really need to start climbing. We need to catch up to where Jason's at, and Jason mentioned earlier in his interview that he needed to even pick up where he was at right now and pick up his performance a little bit. But I appreciate you for asking me about that. It's we were going to hold off a little bit to make that announcement, but it's out there now. We're going to be switching up the crews and pretty much be bringing in our Sprint Cup Series crews into the Truck Series just to see what we can do to make both of our cars better.
I also heard in the garage area walking through this weekend that Jason might have a new sponsor this week. Can you explain that?
Oh, yeah. Charlotte Nightlife and Whiskey River, they're going to, being that this is a home field advantage for Jason, they want to be sponsoring the hometown guy, you know. So Charlotte Nightlife, visit them, check them out, charlottenightlife.com. And also Whiskey River, the bar down in downtown. They're going to be on board, and it's a really slick-looking truck. I can't wait for people to see it, and we're actually going to unveil it after the show if anybody wants to come out back and check it out. It's out there in the hauler, and it's going to be a slick ride. I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody thinks about it.
And one last question before we go. We've seen that Jason wasn't on the entry list. What's that all about?
Jason's on the entry list. Jesus isn't.
That's who I was talking about. Jesus.
Yeah. Jesus, we're having right now we're talking over for some sponsorship, and he's going to be on there. We're just hanging out for a little bit. We're talking over sponsorships and stuff with some guys. We're running a limited schedule. Not really limited schedule, but the sponsors weren't completely filled in. Neither were mine. Neither is Jason's. I don't think too many teams have full sponsor lineups, so we're just trying to take them as we go. And being that this is JRM's home track, we're all trying to run the track sponsors and local sponsors. Dollar General is going to be on my truck, so we're just looking for changes there. And you mentioned the entry list. I will go ahead and let everybody know who's entered so far. This is, as of right now, we've got Jason Gaines from Asheboro, North Carolina, driving the number 5 Charlotte Nightlife Whiskey River Chevrolet for Junior Motorsports. Then we've got me driving the Dollar General Chevrolet. Sean Seller from Bellefontaine, Ohio, driving the number 10 Dodge from Bombshell Motorsports. And Tyler Emmich is going to look to make another start in the series, driving the number 18 FedEx Ground Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. Andrew's on the entry list right now with the new sponsor on board, Discount Tire. James Duke from St. Pete, Florida, is going to be looking to make a second attempt at racing in his Miller Lite Dodge, and Patrick's going to look for his second start of the season in his M&M's Toyota. And Matt Young's looking for his debut in the Camping World Truck Series in his number 56 Napa Autoports Toyota. And that is from Joe Gibbs Racing as well. So we're going to wrap things up here tonight. And did we miss anything so far? Like I said, not too many people making much noise with rumor in the rumor mill right now, so not much to really talk about. You don't have anything, do you, Scott?
No, not really. It was a pretty good race this week. I was really pleased how everything went. As far as the heat races and, the actual race went all right. So I just hope everybody tunes in next week. We had some technical difficulties. We apologize for that. We weren't able to get the race recorded. But we will next week, and we hope to have a great race and show you some real good racing action in Charlotte. I'm sure we will.
And drivers, look out for going into Charlotte. We know that you're fast here. Jesus is fast, Eric is fast, and the defending winner of this race had a rocket ship last season, Steve Anders. And we didn't mention his name on the entry list yet, but we're sure we're going to see him on the entry list before it closes next week. And we hope that Charlotte holds for a great race because these fans love seeing close quarters, bumper to bumper, fender to fender, moving people around. This is what we're here to do, and Charlotte's where it happens. It's one of the fastest tracks that we go to in the season. So we got Charlotte Tuesday, and like I mentioned before, I'd like to thank Andrew, Micke, and Jason Gaines for coming into the studio tonight, and we will see you guys next week live from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Thank you for listening in. Have a good night.